Today we're going to be looking at Mr. and Mrs. Williams' tropical backyard garden. You're going to be seeing plants that are great for food, some that are good for medicinal purposes, and you're also going to be seeing a few flowers sprinkled in between. If this is your first time here, my name is Marlene. Welcome to my home and garden channel. Now let's go ahead and take a look and see what they have. So over here they have this wonderful mango tree. Our trip was a little bit early because the mangoes were not ripened yet. But honestly, I was just so happy to see them because I don't get to see those. And this is typically what they're looking like when they are ripe. Mangoes are so good for you guys. These are some that are from my mother's garden back in Jamaica when I visited. And, they have lots of vitamin C, they have vitamin A, and so many wonderful things. The next thing about mango is that the leaves are also good for you because they have a lot of antioxidants in them. They're good for your immune system. They're good for your gut health. And I'm not a doctor. These are just things that are told to us out there in studies that have proven year after year. So let's go ahead now and take a look at their banana tree. So over here, this is their banana tree. And it's just one, but it's going to multiply over time. And I'll show you in a second why I say that. In that little spot right there, sooner or later, you're going to have a nice bunch of bananas coming out. When bananas are green, they're great for your blood sugar level because they're a complex carb and they break down slowly, so it helps to normalize it. When they're ripened, they're good for vitamins B, C, and they also help to, keep your bowels free. And this is typically what happens. You have one bunch of banana coming down. When that dies off, because it only gives you one, you have the younger ones that come up and they give you more and more every year. So it's a gift that keeps on giving, guys. So I love it. And right behind me there, let's take a look at that. That would be the avocado plant next to the lime. And you can see that avocado gives you omega-3s, vitamin C, E, and K, so it's wonderful. And of course, we talk so much about our citrus trees. When you get them, you can have the fruits, lots of vitamin C and, immune boosting power. And you can even use the leaves, guys. The leaves are still good. You can make a nice tea with them and they're great. Now, in my area, we get, like mild winters. So they have come out with varieties that can actually survive in that type of weather. And they are dwarf varieties, so they're not going to grow as big. So if you have a more sheltered nook in your garden, or if you have, like, say, a greenhouse, or you are able to have a screened-in porch, you can bring them in and they'll survive over the winter and they'll come back year after year. So I just love that they came up with this, and it is just a wonderful thing to have. So over here next, this is one of my favorite things in their garden, and this is this mint. There are so many different varieties of mint, but I think this one is my absolute favorite, and my mom always had these in her garden growing up in Jamaica. There are over 20 different types of mints. So for example, like sweet mint, here's another variety. You have peppermint as well. So there are so many different ones, but guys, I'm telling you, if you try this one, you probably will agree with me that it is so delicious and so flavorful. And it's a perennial in tropical areas. And so all they do is just, they just trim it and it springs year after year. It keeps coming. If you're in a colder climate like I am, it's better to keep them in containers. And then you can always bring them indoors when it gets really cold and bring them back out in the spring. So here I'm going ahead and I'm harvesting a nice little section off of there. And this can get me 2 nice pots full of peppermint tea. I should say mint tea, and it's just so delicious. And I harvested these with the flowers on, which I should have harvested before that happens to give it more flavor, but I just wanted to see what they looked like, so I got my wish. Next thing she has over here is aloe vera, and there's so many uses for aloe vera as well. As you can see, she's been using some of it, and this is a little young one here. It's going to get bigger over time, and you can actually buy these at your garden center. My previous video that I did, which I'll link at the end for you as well, showed you them, and you can see you have the little suckers or little pups that come up from the side. So it's a gift that keeps on giving as well. It's good for burns and good for digestion problems. There's so many good qualities. I've never tried to propagate from these that they sell in the store. I'm not sure if you've ever tried it. You can let me know if it works, but of course you can always buy them if you really need to. Next we have over here, it's fever grass. And as the name says, guys, I'm sure you can guess, fever grass is great for reducing fevers among many other wonderful properties that it has. And so this, comes back year after year if you're in a tropical area. But again, you can always grow them in containers and bring them indoors if you're in a colder climate and take them back out in the spring. and it's just so wonderful. It multiplies, typically like how the grass behave. And over here now, this is soursop, and this is a powerhouse of a plant. There have been so many recent studies on it that is good for so many things, and they say it has anti-cancer properties. It helps with so many other things inside of your body. And I'd say do your research, get more information about it. But this is what they look like when they're mature. I'm just showing you some that were in the store because hers were not fully ripened yet. And guys, take a look and see. It's $17.99 per pound in the international market. Why? Because it's so good. Antioxidants, antiviral, just a lot of wonderful things that this plant has to offer. And of course, I absolutely love soursop ice cream. It's one of my favorite things that I had when I visited the Bahamas as a child years ago. And again, I'm not a doctor, guys. I'm just telling you what the studies show. This over here is what the flower for the soursop looks like. It's not opened yet. It produces a pretty little, like a peach-colored flower when it opens. And it's really cute to see. And over here, these are the leaves. The leaves are excellent too. You boil the leaves and you make a tea with them. And, it really helps your body in so many ways. I think they're also doing studies on the seeds as well to see what goes on inside of those. So it's just wonderful to have. And of course, we're going to take a look at a few flowers towards later in the video because that's one of the mainstays of my channel. Speaking of that, if you've never subscribed before and you want to follow along with my garden tours, tips, and topics, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell twice so you never miss an upload. And now we're going to take a look at another goodie right here, and this is Seed. And most Caribbean homes will know what these are. And they're actually bitter. They're a vine, and this is what the young seed pod looks like. When they get older, they ripen, and this is what they are. And even though that plant is very bitter, when you make a tea with it, the seeds, little red seeds inside, they are very, very sweet. So if you're ever stuck out in the woods somewhere and you see those, as long as you know for sure that it is a seed, which it typically is very easy to identify, you can go on and have some of those to eat. Now, these were some that my sister planted on her balcony garden from seeds, and you can see that they're doing really, really well there. And typically just go in and pull them, to harvest them off. You pull them and then they just spring back up and they keep coming time and time again. So it really is wonderful. It helps to, clean up your blood because of that, alkaline nature that it has. And it's actually in the same family as your butternut squash, like this little one that I grew in some time ago, as well as your cucumbers and so on. And I'll link these online, just some options if you wanted to just try to buy the one that's already dried on there, just to see what it is like. Over here to the left, she has a yellow yam vine growing there, and this is what yellow yam looks like if you're not sure. And you can see it's pretty expensive. It's $4.99 per pound, but it is very good for you. Again, another complex carb, guys, that slowly breaks down in your body when you have it, so it is so much better for you. Your blood sugar levels typically don't spike when you eat things like these because it takes a longer time to go through your system, and it is so delicious. So next to that, now we have some tomatoes, and she was just planting these. You can see that she puts wood ash around to kind of like help with the nutrients in the soil, which is really, really good. Now we're going to take a look at her flowers. Over here, she has this beautiful ixora, and hummingbirds love them. My mom always had these, right by her porch. Over here, she also has some crotons as well. And she has over here vinca. We also call this periwinkle in the islands. Next to that, we have some Moses basket, and this comes back for me if I cover it with mulch in the winter. It will come back the following year. She has ginger right next to it there. And this right here, this is Mexican petunia, and I think it is so pretty. Right next to it, she has a sago palm, very, very tropical. Those only grow in those warmer places. And I just love the Mexican petunias. I think they're so pretty, and I see them a lot in my area. They're very pretty in flower beds because they're tall. You can put them more towards the back of your flower bed, and the lower plant you can put in front of it. And it is just absolutely gorgeous. So pretty dancing in the breeze right there. And then right next to it, she has some more croton as we move along here. And then next to that, she has, this is in most places called Wandering Jew, which is pretty similar to the Moses basket. You can see the colorations are very similar. And then over here on the end, she has some crotons. So I hope you're going to try some of these if you've never before. Of course, always get your doctor's consent if you're ever trying anything new, because you don't want to have any drug interactions or anything that could happen with that. But do your research, guys. See what it's all about. and then you can feel satisfied about the whole thing. And of course, like I said, if you're in colder zones, you can always bring them in indoors if you have them in little pots. And just to say, no matter how small your space is, for example, my sister, she has a balcony garden right here and she grows a lot of things on there. I'll link that video on the end for you as well if you ever wanted to take a look at it. And also, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. Williams, for letting us take a look at your wonderful garden and for just showing us that no matter what size space you have, there are things that you can do that's going to be good for your health and just good for your whole well-being. We appreciate it so much. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Happy gardening, and I do hope to see you in the next video. Take care.